watching Matilda as a kid? Because if you do, there's probably a number of scenes that are cemented into your brain against your will, and for me, it's this one.
Pretty soon you'll be able to do any multiplication. 13 times 379.
4,927.
I beg your pardon?
I think that's the answer. 4927.
It is.
Wow.
Jerk. This scene made me so jealous as an 8-year-old child. I am 20 years old. I'm an engineering student. I am still jealous. Or what about the smart teenager who builds things in their bedroom with an unlimited budget, I guess, and then the US government finds out about them and they need them for something? Shut up! They think they're better than me, and they suck. The trope is everywhere. The smart kid who inexplicably knows everything. Movies like that convince kids everywhere that if you were going to be smart, you would have been born that way. It's not your fault that you're stupid, but to be very clear, you are stupid. Not to flex too hard on you guys, but I was in the TAG, Talented and Gifted program in elementary school, Don't mean to brag or nothing, but Are you jealous of me? Because you should be. Very much so, and if you could start that process, I'd really appreciate it. I don't remember exactly how it happened. I just remember at some point in 3rd grade, we got pulled aside, me and a handful of students, to go to the library, and we were told we would be in the TAG, Talented and Gifted program. And, they told us some stuff about how we'd be doing some extra work together in the library as a group. Now, those are the words that they said to us. The words that I heard were quite different. To 3rd grade me, I heard that I was being liberated from the morons in Miss Crawford's 3rd grade math class. No, not me. I was an intellectual, a gifted child. It was just me and my ragtag group of geniuses. Us together were going to invent the things that changed the world. That did not happen. I don't know. I remember we worked on writing short stories with a twist. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I know that it wasn't impressive by any means, but I cannot emphasize enough, I did not care. I was an intellectual icon and enigma. You could not tell me anything if you tried. And I held on to that title like my sweet life depended on it. To put it eloquently, at the end of the day, we are all nothing but bags of flesh and blood that want love and attention. And media has painted it to seem that being smart and gifted are two of the fastest ways to get it. If you score the highest on a reading test, your life matters now because you are the main character. I cannot speak on behalf of the normals though. That's quite unfortunate for them. And again, you're a child. Of course you want love and attention. That's all you want. And if you're taught from an early age that the best way to get it is to do math problems slightly faster than everyone else, then you'll do it. Another thing about the smart kid child prodigy trope is that they never have to work for it. They just have it. It's out the womb. It's their birthright. Working hard and having a work ethic is for the normals, who henceforth will be properly known as the rest of us call them, losers. In stark contrast, you will find my kin. We do things the easy way, by being born that way. A lot of people don't think to do that. That's why they're on this side of the chart. Therefore, my fellow gifted kids, who henceforth will be known as they truly are, winners. Everything that we do always succeeds, and we don't have to do anything to get it. Life is just made for us, I guess. These are very practical and not at all concerning things to be teaching to a 5-year-old child. You've already convinced that kid that he doesn't have to try. Trying means you're not special, but I've already been told by everybody that I'm special, so clearly I don't have to try. Things are going to just come naturally to me. This is how it will always be forever. And that strategy works really well. Until about a year or two from now, when you realize math is a lot more than PEMDAS. It creates the superiority complex of, I am not normal. Normal is bad. Special is good. I'm special. I'm better. You suck. Because normal people don't get love and attention and praise. Only smart people like me do that. We are the ones that get all the love and attention and the praise. And you know what? They're not totally wrong. Why do we do that? Why do people find child prodigies so fascinating? Well, one reason has to do a lot with the assumption of what they could be. Like you take a 12-year-old and you look at everything impressive they've already done and you think, wow, if they've done this so young, imagine what they'll do by 30 or 40 or 50. But that's an assumption and a really faulty one. Let's imagine you could plot a child's ability on a graph. In a perfect world, this progression would be linear. It would make sense that with age, their talent would only improve and improve and improve until eventually we reached lifting off the paper and we're going onto my wall now. Look at that. I'm not going to draw on this because that is expensive. Because with more time, they should be increasing in talent and just do that over and over and over until they have reached, I don't know. Bill Gates, is he impressive? Do we like him still? I don't know. But frankly, this line right here is Boulder Dash, and dare I say poppycock. Because in reality, yeah, sure, maybe they start out like this, but eventually they're gonna plateau at some point. And from about here till the rest of their lives, they're just going to be considered average. Maybe they're considered above average, maybe even impressive, but that's it. That's all. Impressive is a lot, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. For example, hey, look at this video of an athlete who's been training for 15 years.
That dog wasn't as vertical as her teammate.
Well, Twan
Pretty cool, right? Well, what if I told you they weren't training for 15 years? Because it would be impossible to train for 15 years because they've only been alive for 14 years. That's a really weird way of saying they're 14 years old. Okay, knowing that information, has this video become more or less impressive to you? Because really, nothing about it has changed, but maybe your perspective has now. Like, honestly, is this even something you would typically care about? If somebody twice their age did this, would you care? Look, I'm not saying it's not cool when young people do impressive adult things like this. It's very cool. I'm just saying, is the only reason it's cool and the only reason we care is because it's done by someone who's been on the planet for less time? And because of all this, you get a 15-year-old who's having the same thought process as a 50-year-old. That thought being, is it too late for me? Because you see people your age doing great things and you think you're past your prime. You have not been alive for 2 decades yet. That's not what that means. But it's so tempting. You see person A, they did this impressive thing when they were a year younger than I am now. So it is too late for me. I can't be impressive anymore. So why even try? One, that's dumb. Don't do that. But even if you were to try, why are you trying? Hear me out. I know that sounds bad. No, hold on. Think of when you hear of a musician or an actor or like a business person who's your age and you start thinking to yourself, maybe I should go into music or acting or make videos or start some business or whatever. We've all done it. I'm not the only one. It's okay. This is a safe space. That sounds enticing in the moment, but really, be honest, did you really want to do all that stuff? Do you have a genuine passion for making music or creating or starting a business? Or do you want to do it just so you can get the attention that those guys got? Is it really something you want? Or is what you want to just have attention? Or at the very least, not be the only one not doing something? See, this is one of the main reasons that I clung on to my gifted kid status for so long. As unbelievable as this may seem, I did not have the best of middle school experiences. It's really weird, and I didn't have friends, and I didn't know how to socialize, but I did have one thing that no one could take away from me, and that was that I knew how to solve polynomials. That's all I had. So this title of gifted kid, trademark, was so important to me. It was my prized possession because without it, I could never get what those kids got in those movies. And that was love and attention. And not only is that entirely unhealthy, but it only makes more soul crushing the inevitable realization that, wait, am I normal? Of all gifted kids, about 95% of them eventually approach a point where they realize they're just not as special as everyone told them that they were. It starts off small. When you were 10, they told you were amazing and you would be president. When you were 15, they told you were pretty good and you'd probably run your own business one day. Then you turn 20. You impress no one, and people are asking you when you're gonna get a job. That's me. I need one. I need money. And to everyone who watched you grow up, this seemed like a normal progression, or maybe they never noticed it at all. But to you, it is a life of denial until that one moment when you start to see the cracks and you inevitably go down an uncontrollable spiral. See, as I got into high school, I started to slowly lose the gifted kid title. Like I was still the smart kid. Like I was in a bunch of AP classes, but I now had to kind of work to get good grades in those classes. And like I said, us smart kids, we don't do that. Well, no, the other smart kids did. I didn't. And that was a problem. Do you know how it feels to be pulled aside by your AP government teacher and told that you're doing the worst in the class? I was doing the worst in the smart kids class. I now realize that sounds like I'm like that's got to be first world problem for sure, but it really hurt. That memory haunts me to this day. I'm not joking. Because realizing that you're not all that smart and that you're not always going to have it easy, now that's a shock. But when that belief is tied to your self-worth as a person, it hurts. Because by the time you accept that you're not a genius who's gonna naturally understand everything right off the bat, it's too late to have a healthy reaction to that realization. You've spent so much time already equating your talent and your achievements to your morality. Good grades, good student, good person. Bad grades, bad student, bad person. And I can't be normal either. As we've already established, normal people don't get love or praise or attention or anything like that. I need that stuff to feel good. Your self-worth is your innate talent. So if you find out you never really had it in the first place, then who are you? Okay, but what about the 5% of kids who are actually talented? The people who graduate at Harvard from 10 and whose story pops up in your YouTube recommendations the second you think you're doing something in life. Here's the thing, that might not be as desirable as you think. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, David, are you just saying that because you're still in denial and you're trying to make yourself feel better? Yeah, about 30%, but no, I've got real reasons too. The smart kid at their core is still a kid, which can be easy for people to forget. Because they've reached an adult-like level of academic ability, people can make the assumption that they've also reached an adult-like level of maturity. And that's true to an extent. They single-handedly keep the children's-sized blazer and shoulder pad industry afloat. But besides that, do you really expect them to just speed run through childhood? Like, you can make a 5-year-old act like they're 30 if that's what you want. That's cool. But then, like, what are they supposed to do or feel when they like actually become 30? If they've been cosplaying as an adult their whole life, what are they supposed to do when they get there? Like really, what childhood did they have? What memories did they look back on? What experiences did they have with people their age? Do they know how to be sociable? Do they know how to relax and have a good time? Do they know how to separate work from pleasure? Will they have a sense of self that is completely independent of their accomplishments and abilities? And that being the case, let's paint a picture, shall we? Let's say we have one of those really talented kids and he's like 12 and he's already graduated from high school. He's out of college by 16 and he's working on his PhD as we speak, only for him to then realize, wait, maybe, just maybe, the career path I chose when I was 10 isn't what I want to do with my life. I should probably stop doing this and turn around. Oh, no, wait, I can't because I am in so much debt. Again, smart kid aside, they're still a child. And should we really expect a child to know what they want to do for the rest of their life? Think how many times you were asked when you were a kid what you wanted to do when you grew up. How many times did that answer change? The difference being you could always change your answer at will. If the smart kid did it, he's already like 20 years into this thing. They're going to be a completely different person by the time they grow up. And that grown-up version of them is going to be living in a completely different world, one that doesn't exist yet. Think of all the jobs that didn't even exist when you were a kid. Everything in tech, everything online. You couldn't have imagined that's something you would want to do because it didn't exist yet. Look, I'm not saying don't plan for the future. I am saying, however, maybe a 9-year-old shouldn't be expected to know what they want to do when they're 40. So what have we learned tonight? Well, I think the lesson is that being smart is for losers and ignorance is bliss. Good night, America. No. That's not the moral. Nah, get out of here. Nah. What does it mean to be smart? It's a dumb question, I know, ironically. Ha! But I ask that anytime somebody asks me what my major is. I'll tell them I'm an engineering major. They'll tell me, wow, you must be really smart. And look, do I love it every time? Yes. Never stop. Whoever, if I meet you one day and that happens, please do it again. I love it every time. But eventually, once I stopped faking humility, then I asked them, what does that mean? I mean, I wasn't born with this knowledge. They had to teach me this stuff. They still are. The same way they could teach you. Like, imagine that everything there is to know about engineering was in a book. The only difference between me and you is, I did the pointing on that wrong. The only difference between me and you is that I'm reading the book and you're not. And that's probably because you don't want to, or because you don't have the circumstances to, but it doesn't mean that I'm inherently smarter than you. You get what I'm saying? And besides, you're probably reading some other book that I don't want to read. Probably something about music or art or speech, areas that don't really get factored in when deciding if a child is gifted in the education system. We both had to learn, is what I'm saying, and we weren't born with this stuff. We had to put effort into it. It's way more productive to see life and the things in it with a growth mindset. If you think that I am the amount of smart I'm born with and there's nothing else I can do to fix it or change it or improve it, that is a fixed mindset. And gifted kids often think this about themselves. They didn't have to become smart. I am smart. Therefore, it's not something that needs to be worked on or improved or put effort into. It just is what it is. And because they depend on it so much and they've also put in no effort to keep it up, it becomes part of who they are and they guard it with their life. Failure must be avoided at all costs. Therefore, it is more important to keep up the illusion of intelligence than to actually learn and grow. I just need to look smart. Who cares if I actually am? But this leads to competitiveness and enviousness because you see everyone else, they're being smart and intelligent. That's an attack on your specialness, and that's personal to you. Growth mindset means you accept that not everything's going to come naturally and that you put effort into learn and grow. And this also means that you're trying new things and you're taking risks, which means you're accepting that you're probably going to fail at some point. But instead of avoiding it, now you learn to accept it or hey, maybe even embrace it as part of the learning process. Because that is what learning is. To keep up this facade of being the smart kid is letting insecurity inhibit your growth. In summary, the key to breaking this seems to involve two things. One, it's knowing that you are a human who needs to be loved and cared for, and you deserve to have that love and care and attention and praise, even if you don't know how to work with fractions. And this happens when you start to learn to stop equating your worth with the things you're able to do and how fast you're able to learn. You don't have to prove that you're worthy of love because you're not a circus animal. Second, learn to focus on results less and effort more. You can't always control the results, but you can always control the effort you put into things. And if you're focused on effort, you won't be as crushed when those failures eventually come because success is failure. Over and over and over until one day you get things right. And those results won't be flattering. Also, it'll help you to stop comparing with other people. Because if you're worried about your effort, it doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing. All you need to know is that you're trying your best. And you can be happy with that. Just relax. You are loved. Put effort into stuff. You got this, bud. I'm proud of you. This video was just an excuse for me to work out my stuff. This was an experience for both of us.